Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third City Council candidate interview on the Know Your BA official page. Today, I'm interviewing Ward 1 candidate Jonathan Kelly.
Hello.
Jonathan is a family man, businessman, best-selling author, and a Forbes.com contributor. He was named top 30 under 30 for marketing and advertising and is an involved partner in several businesses. He manages a 100 plus member team that helps entrepreneurs ignite their brand and increase their profit, and also serves as a project manager for 300 clients, both nationally and internationally. Jonathan has a vast knowledge of search engine optimization and advertising, as well as serves as the president of Mile Agency. He is passionate about helping entrepreneurs create, develop, and grow successful businesses. Jonathan resides in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, with his wife Stephanie, daughter Harper, and another daughter on the way. He also has the best bulldog on the planet, Chauncey.
Yeah.
So the first section I like to call the get to know your candidate. So first question is, who is your idol and why?
Ooh. Somebody that this is gonna be very cheesy. I'm just giving you a heads up ahead of time, but very
Hmm.
cheesy. But honestly, somebody that I really respect, and I probably do a horrible job at telling her this, is my wife. And she is the strongest person I know. So she's raising our daughter Harper is 2.5, and she's a handful. She's like the carbon copy of me. So I'm so sorry, Stephanie. But then she's also very pregnant. We're supposed to have our next child next week, actually, next Friday. So a week
Wow.
from tomorrow. All while still working from home, getting
Mhm.
everything done around the house. And she just gets it done. So I really respect her. And she's one of the strongest people, if not the strongest person I know. I
Awesome.
told you it was
Yeah.
cheesy. I gave you a warning ahead of time. So there you go. So
Yeah. And then if you could have lunch with anybody dead or alive, so this is another big question,
yeah,
who would it be and why?
this is one of the questions that I was actually struggling with the most because I worked from 2:30 in the morning till about 6 p.m. every night,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
almost never lunch. And so I was like, oh
Hmm.
man. But I settled on I think Teddy Roosevelt would be really really interesting guy
Hmm.
because of the way that he did politics, right? So he was a no punches barred, like you knew where you stood with
Right.
him, is my
Right.
understanding, and I really respect that.
Hmm. Yeah. And then, so you're a current business owner, right? From your
I
bio.
currently do not own a business.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
You help people with their business.
correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. I'm a project
Yeah.
manager to over 300 different businesses in the
Hmm.
United States.
Oh, okay. So what has this past taught you that you've had as
Uh,
about leadership?
yeah, I'd say two things. The
Hmm.
first is that you're not really a leader if people aren't following you, right? It's like that's the
Hmm.
whole point of being a leader. And
Right.
so the importance of leading people is people have to feel heard. They have to have a voice, or at least they have to feel like they can come talk to you.
Hmm.
And so just to make sure that you're approachable, and when they come to you, just because if you disagree with them or not, that you really respect them and you know that they feel heard. So that's one thing. The second is just managing over 100 different humans for different businesses in the past year. Just problem solving, right?
Hmm.
So like, I actually timed it one time, but I get interrupted every 4 minutes while I'm working with different questions about different things, right? And so you just have
Hmm.
to be able to, in the business world, have to be able to find the problem, solve it, move on to the next one. And you just do that every single time.
Definitely. And then what inspired you to kind of go into this field,
The field of politics or the field of business?
the business?
Okay. Yeah, it's just to me, finding a problem in the world and solving it is
Hmm.
so rewarding, right? So if you have a product or something that you're very passionate about and the marketplace agrees with you and they're willing to pay you for that, having good people, being able to employ people, being able to mentor them, because in a small business you have the opportunity to mentor people that you wouldn't really have in a larger corporation. And so
Hmm.
small business has always been very close to me, and I want to be able to do anything I can to help that.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to move on to our citizen questions because there were
All
so
right.
many.
Okay.
This comes from a citizen named Brandy. She originally left this comment on my original post asking for questions for Kathy, and I thought it was really good, so I just decided to put it into all of them.
Okay.
So she wants to know, what are your top three things you love about Broken Arrow?
Top three things I love about Broken Arrow.
Hmm.
Honestly, you can't the people. Okay, so that's the one of the reasons we moved to Broken Arrow is just because we have such, especially right now. So why it's so exciting for Broken Arrow is we have this really unique place where we still have the friendliness and the welcoming feel of a smaller town, yet we're just as big as some of the other bigger towns, right? The bigger
Mhm.
cities. And so being able to have that, you still be able, in my lifetime, because I've lived in Tulsa for most of my life. We grew up on a farm in Ramona, Oklahoma. Most people don't know where that is. And then we moved here sophomore year. But Broken Arrow went from a place that I was like, nothing's out there. We don't need to go there.
Mhm.
Until now, it's like you love it out there. There's things to do out there. There's people, and then the people are just great. So that's be one. The people. Two is the housing. The housing cost, the cost of living in general, is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then just three, as the city's growing, we're getting more and more amazing things. So we actually moved out into Forest Ridge in 2018 with my wife and I did. And a big part of that is because the community within the housing development, right?
Mhm.
So there was the parks, and then everything's connected. There's bike trails, and then they have just so much for the family. And so just being able to have that family focus is really key.
Definitely, definitely. Um, and then what is a quality about your opponents that you admire?
I really just admire. So I think this last year, just for me, I'll just pick on me, right? And
Mhm.
maybe some of the younger generation too. But historically, I've just been very apathetic when it comes to politics, right?
Mhm.
Because I just didn't think, especially in Oklahoma, I was like, well, my vote doesn't really matter, yada yada. A lot of it was ignorance, okay?
Mhm.
And just the ability for people to actually feel, not only understand the importance, but then like pick up the call to action and actually attempt to do something about it. I think
Mhm.
that's really, really key. And so anybody that's willing to put their self out kind of in front, I respect a lot.
Definitely. And then last part of her question is, what qualities about yourself do you think could help you best represent Broken Arrow?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I touched on earlier. Just my experience in the business world is, I'm a problem solver. That's what I do. So when I get into any environment, I look for the biggest problem, whatever it is,
Mhm.
resolve it, and then we move on to the next one. You're never done with that. And so having that mentality in anything, especially politics, is going to be really key for helping the growth of Broken Arrow.
Right.
Also, my background in marketing and advertising and things like that. Like this is
Mhm.
what I do, right? Like I actually grow things. I grow businesses. Other
Mhm.
people can say they're pro business, but I actually grow business. And so when you
Right.
combine that along with, I'm a little younger, I've got a little bit more, piss and vinegar or whatever you want to call it. I think I'm in a very unique spot where I can do a lot of good for Broken Arrow.
Mhm. And then this next question comes from Sarah, and she wants to know how many elections have you voted in?
Two.
Or two elections, okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I
Mhm.
voted in when I first turned 18. I voted for George W. Bush. And apparently,
Mhm.
so at the time, I was a registered independent. So that's a big thing
Mhm.
that's on social media right now. Is so independent at 18 years old.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I just kind of fell into that apathy, right? That
Mhm.
ignorance of how important it is on a local level, especially to get involved. And so
Mhm.
this last year kind of woke me out of that slumber, so to speak. It's my great awakening,
Mhm.
and so that I got re-registered to vote, and I voted in this last one for President Trump.
Yeah. That it seems like that's a big thing this year and last year. So,
Yeah, I think like I don't know how you could go through this last year and not
mhm.
realize the importance of the right people in the right seats, And so
Definitely.
that's for me. That's like I've been very upfront with the lack of political experience that I have, right?
Mhm.
Or because I'm not going to lie to you about it.
Right.
But you can't go through this last year without going, oh my goodness, we have to do something, right?
Mhm.
Somebody has to do something, and I'm not the kind of guy that's just going to stay on the sidelines. I'm going to actually get out and do something.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, and so this next question, I didn't put who it comes from. Well, um, so you said you work from about 2:30 a.m. to 6 every
Yeah.
night, so you don't have a lot of time, but they wanted to know if you are able to do any kind of community involvement.
Yeah. So yes, short answer is I'm at a place in my life where I have a lot more flexibility with my free time. Funny thing about schedules is if you don't schedule it, something else does. So whatever you
Mhm.
don't have, if you have something open, somebody's gonna put something there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I definitely have time, and I want to get involved in the community more, and I just haven't
Mhm.
to this point.
Yeah. And then this next question comes from Debbie. It's also multiple parts.
Okay.
Says, will you be doing any meet and greets?
The plan is yes. I don't
Mhm.
have a for sure date or venue picked out yet, but yes, I understand that's a very important part of this,
Mhm.
and so we've definitely got to get those on the books.
Mhm. And then how will you help citizens in current businesses that have been hit hard by the pandemic?
Well, the first step is listening, right? So
Mhm.
you have to figure out what it is, where they're struggling, right? Because not everybody's issues are the same. And so part of that is just making sure that you're reaching out to these people, going, "Hey, how can I actually best help you?" Because it's not a one size fits all type of solution where it's like everybody do this one thing and all of a sudden your business is fixed, right? So some
Mhm.
people are really struggling with managing or finding people. Some people are struggling, so it all really starts at listening.
Right. And so this next question, I think we received a mailer that had you and Thurmond on it, and it said
Yeah.
vote conservative or something like that. It says, what is your actual affiliation with Mayor Thurmond?
Great question. I actually did not know that mailer was going out. Somebody sent
Oh.
me a photo of it and said, "Hey, look at this photo." So that was interesting. But Mayor Thurman used to be a
Hmm.
client of Clay Clark's.
Hmm.
They're no longer clients, but um, so I mean that's really the end of that conversation. I think
Yeah.
previous to me announcing I was going to run in any capacity, I maybe have had 3 talks with the man,
Hmm.
and so I understand that it looks however you looks, but I didn't work on his campaign.
Hmm.
Um, and he didn't convince me to run or ask me to
Yeah.
run. Aaron Antis didn't ask me to run.
Hmm.
Nobody forced my hand on anything. And so that's it. So he used to be a client. He's no longer a client. I think he's a great man. I think his
Hmm.
heart's in the right place. And that's where
Yeah. And then what do you bring to the city council that your other candidates and other city councilors do not bring for your ward?
it's a great question. Again, I think it just comes back to experience in growing businesses, right?
Hmm.
I've done this for 8 years, helped thousands of business owners. On average, the last year, our clients grew on an average of 108%, I believe it was, and
Hmm.
year over year, and that's huge, right? And so, just being able to take that experience that I have and apply it to a growing economy that we already have in Broken Arrow
Hmm.
is only going to accelerate what we're doing so well.
Right. And then this next question comes from Kathy, and she wants to know why the emphasis on Republican in a nonpartisan election?
I, th- I think it comes down to your values, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I understand it's a nonpartisan election, but at the end of the day, like being a Republican is a very easy way to kind of tell you what I stand for without actually telling you what I stand for, if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I think it's important. I'm not going to hide from it, the fact that I'm a Republican,
Hmm.
so why not just tell people?
Yeah. Um, next few questions come from Josh, and this is kind of similar to the community involvement since you've always so busy. It says, how many council meetings have you been able to attend?
0. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I've actually previous to deciding to throw my hat in the ring, so to speak, like I
Hmm.
said, I mean, I just keep coming back to the fact that I didn't know, I didn't know what the importance on a local level, how much that actually affects me and my family, right? And
Hmm.
the town that I'm in, the community that I'm in. I just had no idea. And so, over the course of this last year, started waking up to that. And then I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot that goes on here. This actually
Right.
affects so much. And so I've actually watched the last 3, but I have yet to attend one.
Mm. And then what would you do differently than Deborah Wimpy if elected?
So, you know, I want to start with saying that I don't know Deborah Wimpy.
Hmm.
I'm actually scheduled to meet with her tomorrow, so be the first time that we've met. But she seems like a great lady. I have nothing
Hmm.
bad against or bad to say about her.
Hmm.
I would just say that a lot of what I'm getting right now is people aren't feeling heard currently.
Hmm.
There's like a lot of divisiveness within the community. And so I'd like to really be able to go that extra mile to fix that and
Hmm.
just know that, that's why I put my cell phone number on literally every print piece. And I said,
Yeah.
if you have a question, please text me because I want to be able to be that accessible. And I'm not going to
Hmm.
hand it off to some secretary. I'm not going to give you my, city council email or anything like that. I want you to actually have my cell phone number. So then that
Hmm.
way you can reach out to me. And if I don't know the answer, which I won't know all the answers, I will
Right.
find the answer for you and actually get back with you. And so that's something that I really want to focus on.
Mhm, definitely. And then these next few ones come from Shauna, and she says, City Council deals with far more than growing business. What about what you'll do for the citizens, basically?
Well, again, it just keeps going back to listening is one of them,
Hmm.
but it's like, I tell some of the employees here that I can't fix it if I don't know about it, right?
Right.
And so step one is I just need to know what the issues are. And so already running, I've learned about so many different issues in Broken Arrow that I had no
Hmm.
idea about because it's just in different parts of Broken Arrow that I didn't know about. So,
Hmm.
different traffic jams, different things like that.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that I'm accessible, I'm reachable. And in that way, whatever it is that the citizens are dealing with, I can actually take that and, like I said, use that problem solving skills,
Hmm.
address it, solve it, move on.
Hmm. And then she says, will your eyes be more on the BA businesses and citizen concern?
No, no. I mean, short answer is no.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, my thing is I don't do anything halfway. So anything I touch, anything I get into, I'm going to give it 100%. So
Hmm.
I believe that small business is the backbone of Broken Arrow, and I believe that it's a vital part of that. And so the more businesses that we can have in Broken Arrow, the more money that's in Broken Arrow, the better school, better teachers that come in, so the schools get better. So it affects a lot of things. But no,
Right.
at the end of the day, I'm here to help. And so
Hmm.
wherever that's needed at the time, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And then do you have any endorsements at all? Have you spoken with any of the current government in our area?
Yes, yes. So I'm currently endorsed by the mayor of Quita,
Hmm.
which is important because it's a neighboring town.
Hmm.
And then I have a couple other people that I've spoken to that I feel very good about that I'm not going to tell you until it's official. But
Hmm.
yes, there's several in the works.
Yeah, great. And this next question comes from Penny, and she wants to know, how do you plan to make all of the community members feel heard and appreciated when a lot of us feel ostracized and shunned?
And I think that's a thing that I've kind of touched on a lot is
Yeah,
it starts with, that's what I'm hearing a lot, right? And so
right.
it starts with, when somebody has a dissenting opinion or they disagree with you about something, and I'm not saying anybody does this, I'm just
Hmm.
saying that you can't attack them in any capacity, right? So like
Right.
just because their opinion's different than yours or they see a solution to a problem in a different light than you do doesn't mean they're
Hmm.
wrong, right? And so it's just important in the way that we respond to people to know that like at the end of the day, our hearts are in the same place, right? So
Right.
if you're bringing me an issue, it's because you feel strongly about that issue, right?
Hmm.
And so at the end of the day, our hearts are to fix the issue, to grow Broken Arrow as a community and keep it a great place, right? And so just
Definitely.
conveying that, it really like upfront, transparent way, I think is very, very important.
Hmm. And I think you already touched on this as well, but this is from Rhonda, and she said, what motivated you to run?
Yeah, and a big part of it is this last year, man.
Hmm.
It's you can't get through this last year without going, okay, so obviously there's not enough leaders in the politic world right now. Not enough
Hmm.
people were willing to stand up for our rights, right?
Yeah.
So they're just falling by the wayside and just or crumbling under whatever you want to call it, peer pressure or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And so it's my thing is like you had to do something. Somebody has to do something. And I'm not the guy that's going to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, you guys get to work and go do something. Go fix that."
Hmm.
And I'm not going to go out there and do it, right? So I'm not
Yeah.
going to ask you to fight for my family. I'm going to go do it myself.
Right. And then this is our last question. And I just put from a lot of people because it's
Sure.
been said a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you meet the qualifications of living at a Broken Arrow address for at least 6 months prior to filing for candidacy?
Yeah. So I lived in Forest Ridge in 2018. Is when we moved.
Hmm.
The Highlands of Forest Ridge. We lived there for 2 years, and then we moved across the street to the Wellstone community. It's like literally almost across the street. It's just right
Hmm.
there. Because my wife's parents moved in with us, and we just needed more space. Now we have two
Yeah.
kids, and so yes, the short answer, I moved, but I've lived there since 2018. Then I filed. And another thing that people are saying is that I wasn't registered in time or whatever that is. And so
Hmm.
just so everybody's on the same page, I filed the paperwork. I sent it off. Several people that wanted to support me but didn't know that they were going to be able to actually reached out to the state election board to verify that I was eligible and it was going to be okay. They all said yes. I talked to another attorney that's apparently an expert in the Oklahoma political world. He said I'm good. So yes, short answer, I'm good.
So you're good. Great.
I'm good, baby.
Yep. So with that being our last question, I wanted to say thank you everyone for watching. And I thank you, Jonathan, for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I'd wanted to wish you good luck on your campaign. And this is Jonathan Kelly for Ward 1.
Thank you
you
so much.
everyone. Thank you.